Hi guys, this is part 1 of exercise 16.4's memo. Alright, so you have to do all of them except for 4a. Okay, so you need to be able to recognize dots by now. So dots meaning difference of two squares. So that's a perfect square there, x to the power of 2. That's a perfect square there, and there's the difference between the two, so you're subtracting. Okay. When I'm doing dots, I open up my two brackets. The one is positive, the one is negative. The first term of each bracket will be the square root of the first term in the question, and then the second term in each bracket will be the square root of the second term in the question. Okay. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, so you can start marking. So B, positive and negative. The square root of 9 is 3, the square root of x squared is x, the square root of 16 is 4. That's your final answer. Remember, you don't go and multiply in again because we're trying to keep it in brackets, not get it out of brackets. So if you were to go and do FOIL here, you would land up with the question. Alright, C, you can mark. D, D, open up your two brackets. One is positive, one is negative. Okay, also, I know that I'm not there, but if at any time you had your negative bracket first and your positive bracket second, then that's fine. Okay, so if you did that, then that's totally fine. Alright, square root of 25 is 5, square root of 36y squared is 6y. 2a, oh, I don't know if you did have to do 2a, yes, do all of them. Okay, I'm not going to do 2a with you. 2b, I'm not going to do 2b with you. It's basically the same thing, positive, negative, square root the first term, square root the second term. C, the square root of 144 is 12, the square root of 121 is 11, square root of y squared is y, and then you basically have two brackets that are the same, except the one is negative and the one is positive. I'm not going to do D with you, that one should be fine. Alright, I'm going to start with 3a because I think 3a, you might have got a little bit confused, maybe some of you didn't. That's good. Alright, 3a, it doesn't look like dots immediately. Why isn't it dots? Because there's a 2, and 2 is not a perfect square, and neither is 32, right? So what you need to do is you first need to take out a 2 as a highest common factor. So you divide through both terms by 2, and then you're left with x squared minus 16. X squared is a perfect square, so is 16, and you've got the difference between the two. So now I can factorize this bracket by using dots. So I open up my two brackets. One is positive and negative. I've got my x and my, well, the square root of x squared is x, and then the square root of 16 is 4, and then both of them will have those x and 4. B is pretty much exactly the same. So 5 is not a perfect square, or 20, but I can take 5 out as a highest common factor. So if you divide through by 5, you're going to get left with this, right? X squared minus 4y squared. And all of these elements in this bracket are perfect squares, and there's a difference. The square root of x squared is x, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of y squared is y. The one bracket will be positive, the other one is exactly the same except it's negative. Alright, C, maybe a lot of you guys got to this step here and then you stopped. Okay, I'll show you why I carried on. Okay, for C, you've got x to the power 4 and y to the power 4. Anytime you've got even exponents, you know that they're perfect squares, so I can do dots here. So I open up my two brackets, the one is positive and the one is negative, and then I square root, right? So the square root of x to the power 4 is x to the power 2, square root of y to the power 4 is y to the power 2, and then the same in the other bracket except it's negative. But now, so this part is fine. This part is the part that you got to watch out for. Again, I've got a negative bracket, so I should be thinking, is this dots again? And it is, right? Because x to the power of 2 is a perfect square, and so is y to the power of 2. So this one over here, this bracket, the positive bracket, I just bring down. And then this bracket, I factorize again. So again, I'm going to open up my two brackets. The one is going to be positive, and the other one is going to be negative. Square root of x squared is x, square root of y squared is y. And then the same thing in the other bracket except it's negative. And then D is like even worse than that. So D, you've got dots over and over and over again. So the first time, you probably all kind of got this part right. So 1 is a perfect square, right? 1 times 1 is 1. X to the power of 8 square rooted is x to the power of 4. So that goes in my first term. Square root of 1 is 1. The one bracket's positive, the other one is negative. Okay, I never have to reconsider the positive bracket because dots is never like ever. You're never going to get dots for a positive bracket. It's always the difference of two squares, so it has to be a negative bracket. So this bracket here is the one that I'm looking at. And I can see that x to the power 4 is this perfect square again, and so is 1. So again, I'm going to open up my two brackets, that one I've just brought down. So again, I'm going to have a positive and a negative bracket. I'm going to square root the first term. X to the power 4 is x squared. That goes in the first term. X to square root of 1 is 1. Okay. So now I've got two positive brackets here. That last one is dots again, okay, because I've got another perfect square and another perfect square and a difference. So I open up my two brackets. The one is positive, the one is negative. I square root x squared and I get x. I square root 1 and I get 1. And I do the same in the second bracket, except it's negative, or it's the opposite sign to the first bracket. Okay, that's the first part of this memo. There's two more that I need to show you, or three more, I can't remember. But yeah.